Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into a really dense, just endlessly fascinating piece of ancient philosophy, the Mahaprajnaparamita Upadesha. And what we're going to uncover is a massive paradox right at the heart of this text. Basically, we're asking, how do highly enlightened beings, these bodhisattvas, actually guide us flawed, everyday beings to ultimate enlightenment? Well, spoiler alert, it's not always by forcing everyone to give up everything they own.
So, let's start by unpacking this massive, head-scratching mystery that the source text immediately throws at us. Think about it. If traditional Buddhist thought is all about shedding earthly desires, why on earth do these super-advanced bodhisattvas offer endless luxuries, totally utopian worlds, and just infinite riches to the very beings they're trying to save? On the surface, it sounds like a complete contradiction, right?
To make sense of this, we're going to break this explainer down into 5 quick parts: the illusion of course karma, the paradox of 5 desires, the wonders of Pure Lands, the guaranteed path, and finally, the deeply emotional, compassionate animal incarnation. Let's get right into it.
Okay, part 1, the illusion of course karma. Let's look at the foundational philosophy here.
The text introduces us to this really intriguing concept known as course karma. Now, the crucial thing to understand here is that course karma isn't just about doing traditionally bad things. It's actually a mental trap. It's the trap of treating totally abstract categories like male versus female or good versus bad as if they are these permanent, rock-solid realities. The text argues that clinging to these fixed forms totally blinds us to the fluid, shifting interconnectedness of literally everything around us.
And this sets up a fundamental clash of worldviews. On one side, you've got this rigid, clinging to absolute rules and absolute forms. But on the other side, the bodhisattva understands that all phenomena are fundamentally empty. And in this text, empty absolutely does not mean meaningless. It means that things are highly flexible and not permanently fixed. It's like a wild card. Recognizing this emptiness frees an enlightened being from rigid dogma, which basically allows them to use whatever tools they need to help others.
Which brings us to Section 2, the paradox of 5 desires. This is where the text throws us a huge curveball.
The text poses this brilliantly skeptical question. It asks, the Buddha said the 5 desires are like a fire, a pit, a prison, an enemy, and a thief. Why would a bodhisattva wish to provide them to beings? It's literally challenging us to figure out why an enlightened being would hand out worldly riches if there's supposedly this dangerous trap.
Well, it turns out to be a masterclass in psychological strategy, broken down into 4 incredibly pragmatic steps. Step 1, fulfill those worldly desires to completely wipe out extreme poverty. Step 2, by doing that, you prevent the crime and the deep suffering that's caused by pure desperation. Step 3, once these beings are satiated and feel safe, they naturally develop softened and much more receptive minds. And finally, step 4, now you can actually teach the Dharma to them, because, let's be honest, you simply can't teach high-level philosophy to someone who is literally starving.
There's this absolutely amazing metaphor in the text that compares strict asceticism, just fleeing the world's mess entirely, to the great vehicles concept of skillful means. Think about trying to wash a terribly greasy piece of clothing. How do you get that heavy grease out? You don't use clean water. You actually scrub it with dirty ash and mud. In the exact same way, a bodhisattva uses the dirt of worldly desires to cleanse the human mind of its much deeper, far more stubborn attachments. It's just brilliant.
All right, Section 3, Wonders of Pure Lands. Let's look at what these places actually look like.
So, the text describes these cosmic realms as essentially perfectly engineered learning environments. They are designed so inhabitants literally never face obstacles to their spiritual growth. First off, there are no 3 evil realms, so no hell, hungry ghosts, or animals. There are absolutely no false views or rigid attachments holding anyone back. Instead, beings are sustained by endless 100-flavor foods and these incredible celestial scents. The whole struggle for basic survival is completely removed from the equation.
But here is the coolest part. The environment itself is the teacher. The text says that the wind blowing through trees made of 7 jewels naturally plays the sound of ultimate truth, empty, formless, and non-action. I mean, imagine being in a place where even the rustling leaves are constantly gently reminding you of the deepest truths of reality. You don't have to seek out a lecture. Learning the deepest nature of the universe is just totally effortless.
That brings us to Section 4, the guaranteed path. This is all about the beings who create these worlds.
Now, the skeptic in the text jumps back in with another really great question to test the logic here. If these bodhisattvas are so pure and they're guaranteed to reach ultimate Buddhahood, Do they ever just accidentally slip up? Do they ever fall back into the suffering realms of animals, hungry ghosts, or hell?
The short answer is no, and the text is very specific about why. Because they have systematically cut off all unwholesome actions, they just don't fall into hell. But interestingly, they also actively avoid being born into these long life heavens. Why? Because they don't want to get stuck in some unproductive, blissful trance where they can't actually help anyone. They avoid borderlands that don't have spiritual teachings, and they steer clear of households trapped in rigid dogmas. They've just completely eliminated the root causes of ignorance.
The big takeaway here is that they are absolutely not trapped in the cycle of suffering anymore. They have totally mastered it. Every bodhisattva is absolutely guaranteed to achieve Buddhahood. But instead of just escaping this messy universe as early as they possibly can, they actively, intentionally choose to stay behind and help the rest of us cross the finish line.
And this brings us to our final section, Part 5, the compassionate animal incarnation.
So if you've been following the logic so far, you're probably wondering, if bodhisattvas are entirely immune to falling into the animal realm, why on earth do ancient Buddhist stories so frequently feature them living as deer, birds, and elephants? If they don't have to be animals, why do we constantly see them taking those forms in the classic literature?
The text actually gives a remarkably shrewd psychological answer to this. Let's face it, humans tune other humans out all the time, but a miraculous beast speaking profound wisdom? That instantly captures your attention. It inspires belief in a way human words simply can't. It's this incredibly effective, highly calculated teaching tool meant to totally shatter our natural cynicism.
To see what this radical, active compassion actually looks like in practice, let's walk through the timeline of the famous parable of the six-tusked elephant. Minute 1. A hunter shoots the elephant with a poisoned arrow. Minute 5. Instead of, trampling the hunter, the elephant actively shields him from the rest of the angry herd. Minute 10. The elephant calmly asks the hunter what he needs. Minute 15. Discovering the hunter wants his ivory, the elephant willingly rips out its own tusks to give them away. It's just astonishing.
This parable just perfectly nails the philosophical difference we talked about earlier. A strict ascetic response would be to avoid retaliation, sure, but they would remain totally detached from the attacker to protect their own karma. The bodhisattva response? It's radical empathy. It's offering protection, sustenance, and guidance directly to their own killer. It is not just about avoiding bad karma. It's about actively using your existence, even your own agonizing suffering, to nourish and teach someone else.
And the whole mindset behind this incredible act is captured in this one stunning quote from the text. Like a ghost possessing a man, a spellmaster cures the ghosts but does not hate the man. Therefore, do not seek their fault. The elephant views the hunter's greed and violence as a terrible disease that needs to be cured, not as some inherent evil that needs to be brutally punished. And then the text drops this final, mind-blowing secret about these stories. These animal forms, they're pure magical manifestations. They are not beings being punished for past mistakes. They are flawless projections, cast by enlightened minds who have totally mastered that emptiness of reality we talked about at the very beginning. They're using that mastery to manifest in whatever form is needed to teach us how to truly care for one another.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to consider how this ancient text completely redefines what it means to be truly pure. Does true purity mean keeping your hands perfectly clean and escaping this messy, painful world? Or does it mean diving directly back into its darkest corners, using every single thing at your disposal to help others find the light? It is a huge, profound shift from passive detachment to radically active compassion. Thanks for exploring this amazing philosophy with me today.